Admiral Lyra Voss stood at the command center of the VSS Eternal Dawn, her iridescent skin reflecting the soft blue glow of the holographic displays surrounding her. The Viridian flagship's sensors had detected something impossible. A vessel of unknown origin had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of their territory, displaying technological signatures that defied explanation. "Status report," she commanded, her multifaceted eyes fixed on the main display. Commander Nexus, her first officer, moved forward with characteristic precision. "The vessel is approximately 3.2 kilometers in length. Admiral, energy readings are unprecedented. They're not matching any known configurations in our database." The massive ship hung in the void like a predator, its obsidian hull seeming to drink in the starlight. No visible weapon systems, no obvious propulsion arrays, yet the power signatures emanating from it surpassed anything the Viridian Alliance had encountered in their 1,000 years of space exploration. "They're broadcasting, Admiral," the communications officer announced, their neural tendrils pulsing with anxiety. In perfect standard Viridian. Lyra's outer membrane tightened, a gesture equivalent to a human raising their eyebrows. The vessel shouldn't have known their language, let alone be able to transmit in it. "Put them through." The holographic display shifted, revealing a sight that sent ripples of shock through the command crew. A human stood there, wearing a crisp black uniform adorned with unfamiliar insignia. The Viridian Alliance had been observing Earth for decades, categorizing humans as a pre-FTL species still struggling with basic interplanetary travel. This shouldn't be possible. "This is Captain Marcus Chen of the Terran vessel Nighthawk," the human said, his voice carrying an air of casual confidence that seemed at odds with the situation. "We apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we felt it was time to properly introduce ourselves." Lyra maintained her composure, though her skin rippled with shades of concern. "I am Admiral Lyra Voss of the Viridian Alliance. You have entered restricted space unauthorized. Your presence here contradicts everything we know about human technological development." Chen smiled, a gesture that the Viridian tactical systems flagged as potentially threatening. "Yes, we're aware of your extensive surveillance of Earth. We've known about it for quite some time. Your stealth technology is impressive, but it has certain quantum signatures that are rather distinctive once you know what to look for." The bridge fell silent. The Viridian cloaking systems were supposed to be undetectable. The implications of Chen's casual revelation sent waves of unease through the command staff. "If you've been aware of our presence," Lyra began carefully, "why maintain the deception?" "Admiral, humanity learned long ago that being underestimated has its advantages. While your observers watched our public space programs and documented our apparent struggles with primitive rocket technology, we were developing something quite different." Chen gestured, and a holographic display materialized beside him, showing technical specifications that made several Viridian scientists present gasp audibly. The Nighthawk's hull wasn't just advanced, it was alive. Quantum-entangled particles woven into a crystalline matrix that could think, adapt, and evolve. The power core wasn't based on fusion or antimatter, but on something the humans called probability manipulation. Technology that shouldn't be possible for centuries according to Viridian understanding of physics. "Your civilization has achieved much in 1,000 years, Admiral," Chen continued. "But you've been limited by your assumptions about how technology should progress. Humans, we tend to think outside conventional boundaries." As if to demonstrate his point, the Nighthawk's hull began to shift, patterns of light rippling across its surface like waves on a dark ocean. The ship was reconfiguring itself in real time, adapting to the local space-time conditions for optimal efficiency. "What are your intentions?" Lyra asked, her diplomatic training warring with her instincts to call for reinforcements. "We're here to establish diplomatic relations," Chen replied. "But we wanted to ensure the first conversation happened on equal footing. No pretenses, no hierarchies based on assumed technological superiority." The implied message was clear. Humanity hadn't just caught up to the Viridian Alliance. They'd developed in ways the Viridians hadn't even considered possible. "The Alliance Council will need to be informed," Lyra said, her skin shifting to diplomatic neutrals. "This changes everything we thought we knew about human development." "Of course," Chen nodded. "We're transmitting a complete diplomatic package now, including the coordinates of all 17 of your cloaked observation posts in our solar system. We'd appreciate their withdrawal within the next standard day. Consider it a gesture of good faith." As the transmission ended, Lyra turned to her staff, their skin displaying a rainbow of emotional colors. "Send word to High Command," she ordered, "and analyze every bit of data we have on that ship." The galaxy just became a much more interesting place. In her quarters later, Lyra reviewed the preliminary reports. The humans hadn't just hidden their true capabilities. They'd orchestrated a masterful deception that had fooled an entire interstellar civilization. Their technology didn't follow the expected evolutionary path because they'd approached problems from fundamentally different angles, leveraging quantum mechanics and artificial intelligence in ways the Viridians had never imagined. The Nighthawk remained in position, its impossible hull still shifting and adapting, a testament to human ingenuity and a reminder that the universe still held surprises for even the most advanced civilizations. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had chosen to make an entrance that would never be forgotten. The Viridian High Council chamber hummed with tense energy as Admiral Lyra Voss presented her findings. 12 of the most influential leaders in the Alliance sat before her, their skin patterns shifting through waves of color that reflected their mounting concern. "Impossible," High Counselor Zarin declared, his usually pristine crystalline crest flickering with agitation. "No species could advance from primitive chemical rockets to quantum-integrated vessels in mere decades." "With respect, Counselor," Lyra responded, projecting the latest sensor data of the Nighthawk. "The humans didn't follow our expected pathway of technological evolution. They took a completely different approach." The holographic display showed the human vessel's internal structure, or what little their sensors could penetrate. The ship's quantum matrix was unlike anything in Viridian records, organic, adaptive, almost alive in a way that challenged their understanding of artificial intelligence. "Tell us about their captain," demanded Counselor Maris, her aged skin rippling with deep indigo patterns of curiosity. "Captain Marcus Chen appears to be their diplomatic vanguard," Lyra explained, "but our psychological analysis suggests he's far more than that. The humans chose him carefully. He projects authority while maintaining an almost unsettling level of calm." The chamber's atmospheric processors adjusted to accommodate the counselor's heightened emotional states. Meanwhile, aboard the Nighthawk, Captain Chen was having a very different kind of meeting. "They're scanning us again," Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez reported, her hands dancing over the quantum interface. "More intensive this time. They're trying to understand how we mask our weapon systems." Chen smiled, watching the Viridian fleet's careful movements through the ship's advanced sensor array. "Let them look. The more they try to understand our technology, the more questions they'll have." The Nighthawk's interior shifted subtly, quantum pathways reorganizing themselves to optimize for the current situation. The ship's eye, a consciousness that existed in a state of quantum superposition throughout its structure, anticipated needs before they arose. "Sir," Commander James Park, Chen's XO, approached with a holographic report hovering before him. "We're detecting massive energy signatures from their home system. They're mobilizing." As expected, Chen nodded. "The Viridians have been the dominant force in this sector for a millennium. The idea that a primitive species could challenge their technological supremacy is causing quite the crisis of confidence." Back in the council chamber, the debate had turned heated. "We should strike now," Counselor Vex demanded, her skin flashing warning reds, "before they can reveal our position to other species, and risk war with an adversary whose capabilities we don't fully understand." Lyra countered. "The humans haven't shown aggression. They've demonstrated restraint. They could have revealed themselves at any time, in any number of ways." The chamber fell silent as new data streamed in. The Nighthawk was transmitting again, but this time directly into the Council's secure network, a feat that should have been impossible. Captain Chen's image appeared before them, standing casual but alert. "Pardon the interruption, but I thought we might save time by addressing your concerns directly." Several counselors recoiled, their skin patterns shifting to shocked whites and defensive crimsons. Chen continued, unfazed. "We understand this situation challenges everything you thought you knew about technological progression. But consider this. While you watched us struggle with chemical rockets, we were watching you watching us." He gestured, and the chamber's holographic systems that no foreign power should have been able to access, displayed a comprehensive map of Viridian surveillance operations throughout human space. "We learned from you, studied your technology, and developed our own solutions to problems you hadn't even considered yet. How dare you breach our secure systems?" Counselor Vex began, but Chen raised a hand, his calm demeanor unchanged. "Your quantum encryption is impressive, but it's based on principles we moved beyond years ago. We're not here to threaten or dominate. We're here because isolation serves neither of our species. The galaxy is larger and more dangerous than either of us fully understand." The implications of his words hung in the air. The humans hadn't just achieved technological parity. They'd developed entirely new branches of science while maintaining a convincing facade of primitive development. Lyra watched the Council's reactions, noting the subtle shift from outrage to fascination in their color patterns. The humans had orchestrated this revelation perfectly, demonstrating overwhelming technological superiority while consistently emphasizing peaceful intentions. "If what you say is true," High Counselor Zarin spoke carefully, "why reveal yourselves now?" Chen's expression grew serious. "Because there are things coming that neither of us can face alone. We've detected anomalies at the galaxy's edge, patterns that suggest we're not the only ones who've been hiding our true nature." The council chamber erupted in a cascade of colors as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just arrived on the galactic stage. They'd brought a warning. The question now wasn't whether to accept them as equals, but how quickly the two species could learn to work together. As the human captain's image faded, Lyra couldn't help but admire the elegance of their strategy. They'd transformed a potential conflict into an opportunity for alliance, all while demonstrating capabilities that would make any thoughts of aggression suicidal. The age of Viridian certainty was over, replaced by something far more interesting, a future where humanity's unconventional approach to science and technology might be the key to survival itself. Would you like me to continue with Part 3? This second part deepens the story by revealing more about human capabilities and introducing a larger threat that will drive the cooperation between species. The tension aboard the VSS Eternal Dawn reached a new peak as Admiral Lyra Voss watched the arrival of the Viridian battle fleet. 12 capital ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight in a display of power that had cowed countless species over the centuries. But the Nighthawk remained unchanged, its dark hull absorbing both light and scanning attempts with equal efficiency. If anything, the human vessel seemed smaller now, having reconfigured itself into a more compact form that defied their sensor readings entirely. "The High Command vessel is requesting permission to dock," Commander Nexus reported, his skin shifting through cautious yellows. "Fleet Admiral Chorus himself has arrived." Lyra's outer membrane tightened. The presence of the Alliance's supreme military commander confirmed the gravity of the situation. "Grant permission, and inform Captain Chen that we're awaiting his response to our request." The request in question had been more of a diplomatic ultimatum, a demonstration of human technological capabilities under controlled conditions. The Viridian military wanted proof that humanity's apparent advantages weren't mere illusions. Aboard the Nighthawk, Captain Chen reviewed the ultimatum with his senior staff. The ship's quantum consciousness projected their meeting room into a pocket of altered spacetime, ensuring absolute privacy. "They're testing us," Commander Park observed, studying the fleet formations. "The battle group's positioning follows classic Viridian containment protocols." Chen nodded, his fingers tracing patterns in the air that the ship's AI translated into complex tactical displays. They still think in linear terms: bigger fleets, stronger weapons, better shields. They haven't grasped that we've changed the rules of the game entirely. "Sir," Lieutenant Rodriguez interjected, "the quantum core is suggesting an approach that might be instructive." A smile played at the corners of her mouth as she shared the AI's proposal. Chen's eyes widened slightly, then he laughed. "Perfect. Sometimes the best way to make a point is with a bit of showmanship. Prepare for demonstration protocol Omega." In the Eternal Dawn's diplomatic chamber, Fleet Admiral Chorus cut an imposing figure. His ancient skin bore the complex patterns of countless successful campaigns, and his crystalline crest had been enhanced with military neural interfaces. "This charade has gone on long enough," he declared to the assembled command staff. "Either the humans prove their claims, or we treat them as a potential threat to Alliance security." As if in response, every display in the chamber suddenly shifted. Captain Chen's image appeared, but this time with a subtle difference. He was standing in what appeared to be the Eternal Dawn's secure command center, a location hundreds of meters away from the diplomatic chamber. "I apologize for the theatrical entrance," Chen said, "but I believe this addresses your request for a demonstration." His image walked around the command center, passing bewildered Viridian officers who could see him both in person and on their displays. "Impossible," Chorus whispered, his skin blanching to shocked white. "Our internal sensors are functioning perfectly," Chen finished. "I'm not actually there, or rather I am, but not in the way you understand presence and reality. The Nighthawk isn't just a ship, Admiral. It's a quantum computer capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of reality itself." To prove his point, Chen's image reached out and touched a nearby console. The device responded, displaying classified Alliance military data. "Your computer systems, impressive as they are, still operate on principles of classical physics. We've moved beyond that." Lyra watched as Chorus's patterns shifted from shock to something she'd never seen before in the legendary Admiral. "Fear. You can project yourself anywhere in our ships. Access any system." "We could," Chen acknowledged, his image now returning to what they assumed was the Nighthawk's bridge. "But that would be an aggressive act. Instead, we chose this demonstration to make a point. The traditional metrics of military power, fleet size, weapon yields, shield strength, are no longer relevant. We need to move past these displays of force and focus on the real threat." The chamber's displays shifted again, showing astronomical data from the galaxy's edge. Patterns of stars moving in ways that defied natural law, gravity wells appearing and disappearing without apparent cause. "Something is coming," Chen continued, his voice grave. "Something that both our species need to prepare for. The question isn't whether humans and Viridians can coexist. It's whether we can learn to work together quickly enough to face what's approaching." The silence that followed was profound. Chorus, the greatest military mind in the Alliance, had just witnessed humanity casually bypass every security system the Viridians had developed over a millennium of technological advancement. "Perhaps," Lyra ventured, her diplomatic training helping her find the right words, "it's time we discuss terms for a more formal alliance." Chen's image nodded approvingly. The Nighthawk's quantum core has already drafted several proposals, accounting for over 10,000 variables in potential political, economic, and military cooperation. "Shall we begin?" As the diplomatic discussions began in earnest, Lyra couldn't help but marvel at how thoroughly humanity had upended the galaxy's power structure. They hadn't just developed advanced technology. They'd fundamentally reimagined what technology could be. The future would belong not to those who accumulated the most firepower, but to those who could think beyond the boundaries of conventional possibility. And humanity, it seemed, had been doing exactly that all along. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? This third part showcases humanity's technological superiority, while setting up the larger threat that will drive the alliance between species. The observation deck of the Nighthawk offered a spectacular view of the Viridian homeworld, its crystalline cities glinting like diamonds against the purple-hued continents. Admiral Lyra Voss stood beside Captain Chen, both leaders watching as the first joint human-Viridian research vessels began their shakedown cruises. "Your people adapt quickly," Chen observed as a Viridian science ship tested its newly installed quantum sensors. 3 weeks ago, the idea of our technologies working together seemed impossible. Lyra's skin rippled with subtle patterns of pride and curiosity. "Necessity is a powerful motivator, Captain. The data you shared about the anomalies at the galaxy's edge." She left the thought unfinished, her outer membrane tightening with concern. The Nighthawk's quantum core projected a holographic representation of the latest sensor readings. Dark patches of space where natural laws seemed to break down, gravitational waves that moved with apparent intelligence, and radiation patterns that suggested technology far beyond even humanity's understanding. "We first detected them 5 years ago," Chen explained, manipulating the hologram with practiced ease. "It's why we maintained our deception about Earth's technological level for so long. We needed time to prepare, to develop defenses against something we barely comprehend." In the ship's main research laboratory, human and Viridian scientists worked side by side, their different approaches to problem-solving creating unexpected breakthroughs. Dr. Maya Santos, the Nighthawk's chief quantum physicist, stood before a bewildering array of holographic equations. "The problem," she explained to her Viridian counterpart, senior researcher Kex, "isn't that your crystalline computing is inferior to our quantum systems. It's that they're operating on completely different principles that could actually complement each other." Kex's neural tendrils pulsed with excitement as understanding dawned. "Your quantum matrices could provide the computational framework, while our crystal matrices could serve as the perfect medium for information storage and transfer." Throughout the combined fleet, similar scenes of cooperation and discovery played out. Viridian engineers marveled at the elegant simplicity of human quantum integration, while human technicians studied the organic efficiency of Viridian crystal technology. Back on the observation deck, Chen's quantum communicator chimed softly. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through. "We're detecting unusual activity in grid sector 47. The new hybrid sensors are picking up something strange." The holographic display shifted, showing a region of space near the galaxy's outer rim. A void had appeared, perfectly circular, absorbing all light and energy. The Nighthawk's quantum core processed the data, its consciousness spreading through the ship's systems as it analyzed the phenomenon. "It's a probe," Chen said quietly, his expression grim. "They're testing our detection capabilities." Lyra's skin shifted to alert patterns. "How can you be sure?" "Because it's exactly what we would do." Chen turned to face her directly. "Admiral, I believe it's time we showed you why humanity really developed quantum technology." The Nighthawk's interior began to shift, corridors realigning as the ship's AI reconfigured itself. A new chamber formed around them, its walls displaying data streams that made Lyra's scientific training seem primitive by comparison. 15 years ago, Chen began, we detected a quantum signature at the edge of our solar system. Not Viridian, not anything we'd ever encountered. It was observing us, much like your people were, but its technology. It operated on principles that should be impossible. The displays showed historical data. Earth's rapid technological advancement wasn't just about innovation or survival. They had found something out there, something that scared them enough to completely revolutionize their approach to science and technology. We couldn't match their level of advancement through conventional means. Chen continued, so we did what humans do best. We cheated. We developed quantum technology not as a natural progression, but as a desperate leap into unknown scientific territory. Lyra absorbed this revelation, her diplomatic training warring with her scientific curiosity. You took an enormous risk, developing technology you didn't fully understand. We had no choice. Whatever's out there, it's been watching all of us, learning our strengths and weaknesses. The Viridian Alliance's military might, humanity's quantum innovations. They'd been gathering data, preparing for something. As if to emphasize his point, the void in Sector 47 suddenly vanished, leaving behind radiation patterns that defied analysis. The combined fleet's sensors recorded everything, human and Viridian technology, working in concert to understand the threat. "This is why we revealed ourselves now," Chen said softly. "Not because we wanted to, but because we had to. Whatever's coming, neither of our species can face it alone." Lyra watched as more data poured in from the hybrid sensor networks. The galaxy was changing, patterns emerging that had been invisible to both species individually. Together, they were beginning to see the true scope of what they faced. "Then we'll face it together," she declared, her skin displaying patterns of absolute resolution. Human ingenuity and Viridian wisdom, quantum mechanics and crystal matrices. Perhaps this is why our species developed so differently. We were meant to complement each other. The Nighthawk's quantum core hummed in agreement, its consciousness already calculating new possibilities born from this unprecedented alliance. The game had changed, but now they were changing the rules themselves. Would you like me to continue with the final part? This fourth section reveals the deeper motivations behind humanity's technological development while strengthening the alliance between species. The combined human-Viridian fleet hung in high orbit above Earth, a testament to how much had changed in just 2 months. Crystalline warships floated alongside quantum-integrated vessels, their technologies no longer separate but merged into something entirely new. Admiral Lyra Voss stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned HVS Unity, the first ship built with both species' technologies fully integrated from the ground up. Its hull was a matrix of living crystal, infused with quantum pathways, creating a vessel that was more than the sum of its parts. "The anomaly is expanding," Captain Chen reported, his holographic presence simultaneously appearing on every ship in the fleet. "Whatever's out there, they're done hiding." The void at the galaxy's edge had grown, consuming entire star systems, but now they could see it clearly, their combined sensor networks penetrating the darkness to reveal what lurked beyond. By the first light, Lyra whispered, her skin shifting through patterns of awe and trepidation. The sensors showed massive structures moving through the void, geometric shapes that seemed to fold in on themselves in ways that denied conventional physics. "They're called the architects," Chen explained, accessing data from Earth's quantum archives. "At least, that's what we've been calling them since we first detected their quantum signature. They don't build ships, they build reality itself. The Unity's hybrid consciousness, a merger of human AI and Viridian crystal matrices, projected a tactical analysis. The architects' technology didn't just surpass their own. It operated on principles that made conventional warfare meaningless. They weren't looking at a fleet or an invasion force. They were watching artists reshape the canvas of space-time itself. That's why none of our individual approaches would have worked," Lyra realized, her scientific mind racing. "Viridian crystal technology, human quantum mechanics, they're both just different perspectives on the same fundamental forces. The architects work with all of them simultaneously." Fleet Admiral Chorus, who had become one of the strongest advocates for human-Viridian cooperation, stepped forward. His ancient skin displayed patterns of grim determination. "Then we must do the same. Show them that we too can evolve beyond our limitations." Throughout the fleet, crews of both species worked in perfect synchronization. The quantum crystal hybrid systems they developed allowed instant communication and coordination across vast distances. Ships began to move in formations that would have been impossible months ago, their combined technologies creating effects that approached the architect's level of reality manipulation. "They're responding," Chen announced as new data streamed in. The void had stopped expanding, and one of the geometric structures had begun moving toward their position. The Unity's hybrid consciousness calculated possibilities faster than any purely human or Viridian system could have managed. It presented a solution that made both species' scientific councils pause in surprise. We don't need to fight them, Lyra said, understanding dawning as she processed the data. This was never about invasion or conquest. It's a test. Chen nodded, a slight smile playing at his lips. They wanted to see if we could overcome our differences, if we could learn to see beyond our own perspectives. Every technological breakthrough, every diplomatic success, we were proving ourselves worthy of joining a much larger community. The geometric structure approaching them began to transform, unfolding into configurations that challenged comprehension. But now, with their combined understanding, both species could see the beauty in its movements, the art in its manipulation of reality. They're opening a dialogue, the Unity's hybrid consciousness announced, its voice a perfect blend of human warmth and viridian harmony. Not through words or signals, but through the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The fleet held position as the first true communication from the architects reached them. It came not as a message, but as a subtle alteration in local spacetime, an invitation written in the language of physics itself. "We're ready," Lyra declared, her skin displaying patterns of confidence and hope. She turned to Chen's holographic presence. "Humanity forced itself to evolve because you saw them coming. The Viridian Alliance maintained order in this sector of space until we were both ready. Together, we've become something neither of us could have achieved alone." The Unity's quantum crystal matrix hummed with power as it prepared to respond to the architect's invitation. Throughout the fleet, human and Viridian crews stood together, watching as their combined technology, their shared achievement, reached out across the void to answer the call of beings who had watched and waited for this very moment. The age of separation was over. Humanity's drive to surpass its limits, and the Viridian Alliance's steady wisdom, had forged something unprecedented. A civilization ready to take its place among the shapers of reality itself. The architects had not come to conquer or destroy, but to welcome their newest peers to a universe far more wonderful and strange than either species had imagined. As the Unity initiated first contact with the architects, both humans and Viridians knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. They had proven that different approaches to understanding the universe need not conflict. They could combine and evolve into something greater than the sum of their parts. The future that awaited them would challenge everything they thought they knew about reality itself, but they would face it together, as equals, as allies, as pioneers of a new age of discovery and cooperation. This concludes our 5-part story. Would you like me to help you with anything else, such as SEO-optimized titles or descriptions for YouTube?